Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm doing this again because the first one I did of this specific series was absolute garbage. So I deleted it and I'm gonna redo it. So this is effectively What If Naruto Was Full Uzumaki Part 1, but remastered. Because I don't really like the way I did it in the first time, and I doubt most people did. So yeah, we're redoing it. So without further ado, let's get started. So for this what if to actually be able to take place, we just kind of have to change a few things, being with Minato. So with Minato, we don't, like in the last part, the last time I did this, I didn't really explain this well. I was like, we don't know of Minato's heritage, and everybody's like, well, he was a Namikaze, that's his heritage. What I meant by that is we don't know who his two parents were. So that's all I'm saying. Like, we didn't know who his parents were, so I'm just gonna say that before, like, the Uzumaki were, like, all died, or I don't exactly know exactly what happened to them, but like kind of that thing. Before they all died, two of them got together, they created Minato, and Minato is now full Uzumaki, so there you go. Minato is now Uzumaki, he does things with Kushina, Naruto shows up. Naruto still would end up getting the Nine Tails sealed inside of him. This is just because I'm not going to give Minato the Uzumaki, like, chains thing, so he has to do, like, the same thing that he normally does, like, splitting up the chakra of the Nine Tails. Part of it goes into himself, and the other half he gives to Naruto. So, everything like that goes normally. Naruto is born with more chakra than he has in the original, because Uzumakis are really OP in that way, and, as you can probably tell by the thumbnail, he has red hair. So, with that, that's Naruto's, like, birthing story, I guess you could say. So one day in Naruto's younger days of being alive, we'll say he's around 7 or 8 or some age like that, he is reading some books, and he finds one that is labeled simply Uzumaki Clan. And he's like, what's that? And he picks it up and he starts reading about the clan that he's from, and all of the different, like, sealing jutsus that they had, and how powerful they actually used to be. And he's surprised by this, because he didn't realize that he was part of such a, like, prestigious clan. He just thought, like, whatever, he's, like, doesn't have parents, doesn't have this, doesn't have that, doesn't even know who his parents are. And so he's like, oh, this is interesting, and he starts reading more and more about them, reading more about all of their different sealing jutsu. And then he finds something interesting. They're this special sealing jutsu that's special to only them. The chakra chains. And Naruto's wondering if he actually has them. He can't really, like, forcibly call upon them. So he realizes that he couldn't really answer this question just yet. He's just too young in general to be able to use them, even if he had the ability to. So he decides that later on he can try to figure that out. But through his really young years, he continues reading these books, and eventually, he finds something a little bit interesting. He finds this scroll that has a list of all these, or not a scroll, but a book that has a list of all of the different Uzumaki sealing jutsu. And Naruto starts actually, like, trying to learn them for himself now. Because now Naruto's a little bit older, and he starts to gain more, like, physical power and everything like that, and he starts developing his chakra control, everything like that, just so he can actually learn to use these different sealing jutsus that he's found that he might be able to actually use. So, in this book, Uzumaki Sealing Technique, and he reads about this and tries to figure out how to do it for himself. He isn't really able to yet, but he learns about different other sealing jutsus that are a lot less complicated. So Naruto has, like, even more a lot more understanding of how, like, sealing jutsus work than he did in the original, obviously, because, like, Naruto in the original basically didn't really have a sealing jutsu. Like, he legit just didn't. Like, there's no other way around it. He legit just didn't really have a sealing jutsu. So now Naruto continues on with, like, reading and different things like that, and one day while he's exploring in the woods, basically just training with himself, he finds something. Now, I'm making something up here. I've never heard of this actually existing. It very well could, because one existed for the Uchiha, but I'm just gonna say that Naruto finds something a little bit odd. He sees this kind of, like, really small town-looking area that was secluded from the village a ways away. And it has the Uzumaki crest basically just kind of on the walls everywhere. And Naruto realizes exactly what this is. Kind of like how the Uchiha had this little, like, stronghold. This must be the Uzumaki one. So yeah, I'm completely making this up. I'm pretty sure that Uzumaki literally lived in the village when they were there because they were, like, friends with the Senju and shit like that. But I'm just gonna say that Naruto found this in the woods somewhere for some reason. Like I just said, I'm completely making this up. This is completely headcanon. Don't be in the comments like, that didn't exist. It's like, yeah, I know it didn't exist, but I'm saying it does, because it's a what if, and I can. So, Naruto finds this weird-looking, basically, stronghold, and he explores some of the buildings and different things like that. He sees pictures of people with the same red hair as him, and eventually he comes across one that has a picture on it. It is Kushina and Minato. He doesn't know who these people are, but for some reason he gets a nostalgic feeling just from looking at it. He walks away soon after, and eventually he comes across the basically biggest building in the entire stronghold. It's in the center of the building. It's kind of just like some like big, not castle looking thing, but Naruto goes inside of it, and he's looking around at exactly what's going on around him, what exactly there is to do, and he looks up and he sees something a little bit strange. He sees somebody around his age with the same long red hair that Naruto has. Naruto calls out to her, and she turns around, and Naruto realizes that this girl must be Uzumaki too. And he asks for the girl's name, and she explains that her name is Karin Uzumaki, and Naruto starts talking to her, wondering how exactly she ended up getting here, and this is before, like, everything, like, with Orochimaru happened with her. I'm just gonna say that, just obviously because she wouldn't really be able to escape Orochimaru, but she decided that she was gonna come here due to knowing of her, like, Uzumaki heritage and, that kind of shit. So, with that, she's here, and she's basically wandering around, trying to find the secrets of the Uzumaki. Kind of like the same thing that Naruto's doing right now. So they start bonding over the fact that they're, like, the last two Uzumaki, like, ever. At least that they know of. There's still, like, Nagato. But they don't really know of Nagato at this point. So they're bonding over that, and they start talking a little bit more, and they start developing an actual friendship. And Naruto actually hears about her story of how people would, like, bite her, and she can actually heal them. At this point, she doesn't have, like, a ton of bite marks like she did, but she still has, like, bite marks, like, all around, like, her arms and stuff like that. And Naruto's like, that's cruel. That's so stupid. You can't go back there. And she's like, well, I don't really have anywhere else to go. And Naruto's like, you can come back with me. You can come back to the Leaf Village. And she's like, I could. You're right. Maybe I can go with this kid. Because I'm going to say at this point, she already can, like, sense chakras and shit like that. So kind of like the same thing that she felt with Naruto in the original. She's like, his chakra, it's so warm. And then she senses something really cruel and sinister, focused in a certain part of his body. And she realizes, and she asks Naruto, are you a Jinchuriki? And Naruto's like, a what? And she explains exactly what that is. And, like the fact that he might have a tailed beast sealed inside of him, and Naruto's like, and he pulls up his shirt. Karin blushes a little bit, obviously, but Naruto shows Karin the sealing tag, and realizing that this might have something to do with what she's talking about. And Karin's like, you're a Jinchuriki. And Naruto's like, well, I still don't really get what that means. How would I be a Jinchuriki? Why didn't I hear about this? And she's like, I don't know why, but the village must be hiding it for some reason. And Naruto hears something inside of his head. It's a little bit of laughter, like a really dark and cruel laughter. And Naruto's like, what's happening? Karin, do you hear that? Karin is obviously like, no, I don't hear anything. And Naruto's like, this is weird. And then all of a sudden Naruto appears in his psyche. And he's face to face with the Nine Tails at this point. It's the not exactly nice half of the Nine Tails. And Naruto's looking at it, and he is taken aback in fear at this massive nine-tailed fox that has a really deep and cruel voice. And it says the following to Naruto. How does it make you feel, kid, knowing that the village completely betrayed you? You spent most of your young life getting completely just neglected by the village, living completely by yourself in the woods for most of your current life. How does that make you feel that the only reason that they did that was because of the fact that because of the fact that not even according to you didn't even know of this, that I was sealed inside of you. The only reason that people despised you so much was because somebody decided that they were going to seal me inside of you. How does that make you feel, Naruto? Naruto is like, he's still taken aback by fear. He's like, this thing is big, it's scary, and I don't know how to feel about this. He's he's afraid at this point. He's like, who are you? Kurama, or the Nine Tails, is just like, that's not important right now. I want you to answer my question. How does it make you feel that of all these people, only about 1 or 2 actually feel anything other than resentment towards you, Naruto? How does that make you feel? Naruto is kind of quiet at this point, because this has been burning in his mind pretty much ever since he had the ability to, like, think when he was a kid. And Naruto's like, well, I guess I don't really like the village that much for doing that, but I can't really say I hate it either, because, well, it kind of is my fault. Like, I still go around pranking and different things like that, and the Nine Tails is getting pissed at this point. He's just like, where's your hatred, Naruto? I can sense it deep within you. Just let it burst out. And Naruto's like, you know what? No, I'm good. And he leaves his psyche now, and he begins talking to Karin again. And he explains exactly what just happened, and Naruto's like, so I'm the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, huh? The reason the entire village hates me. I didn't even know about it. And he starts kind of trying to put this feeling into the back burners of his mind. The hatred that he basically began feeling for the village itself now. And he's like, well, I guess I don't really want to think about that right now. So he decides he's not going to think about it right now. So with that, he explains to Karin why he's actually here, wanting to learn some of the different sealing jutsu. And Karin gets a little bit of a glint in her eye and a little excited look. And she pulls up a mat that was on the ground, and it opens up. And Naruto basically climbs down this little ladder that leads down there, wondering exactly what Karin was taking him to. And then he looks around, and he sees something a little bit interesting. It's kind of like a library, except most of half the books there are, like, different scrolls and different things like that. Naruto starts reading them. And it basically lists off all of these different Uzumaki techniques. And it even lists the flying Raijin. Now, I know that's not like a Uzumaki technique, but Minato was a full Uzumaki in this. So they would have listed it down in like all of the different techniques that they would have had. So I'm just going to say that that is in there with one of the scrolls that Naruto eventually finds. So he finds all of these different, like, things that the Uzumaki used to know. He finds the Shadow Clone Jutsu, the Flying Raijin, the Uzumaki sealing technique, all these different things. And he even looks at something that he basically was interested in from, like, a long time ago, from when he first discovered basically what the Uzumaki clan actually was. He finds the chakra chains again. Naruto's like, oh, interesting. I wonder if I can do something with this. And he starts opening up the scroll, and he finds out exactly how he could actually use them if he has the innate ability to actually, use them in general. And now it's never actually explained how to actually end up using the chakra chains, what the heck is a chakra chain? The chakra chains, that's never actually explained upon. So I could either come up with something completely random, or I could wait for, like, a comment and just be like, do that, because this video's been long enough already, so I'll probably just wait for a comment, and if the comment doesn't come, then I'll be like, whatever. Although I am planning on recording another part, whatever. I'm just gonna come up with something. So, it says that you basically have to focus, kind of like how Super Saiyan works, where you have to focus your energy in, like, a certain spot of your body. You kind of have to do that. So Naruto tries doing so, and he focuses his chakra into a certain part on his stomach, around where his seal is. And when he actually ends up doing this, a small, basically kunai, tip, like with a basically chain attached to it, slowly starts forming out of Naruto's body. Naruto is not anywhere near able to control this yet. He can barely just get it to come out like 1 foot or so. But Naruto realizes that he has the inherent ability to do this. And he looks over at Kari now, excited, and he asks Kari to do the same thing. And she does the same thing, and it actually ends up working. The chakra chains come out about 1.5 feet for her because of her better chakra control and, different things like that. So Naruto's like, that's cool. We can both use them. And this is where I'm going to leave this part off. So I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out. Bye.